Hello ladies and gentlemen, just gonna give a quick little update. Today I'm gonna start working on the 93 hatch. I'm gonna jack it up. I got new struts, end links, ball joints, all that good stuff for it to hopefully make it stop riding like an old pickup. So it's gonna take a few days just because I don't have one big chunk of time, but anyways, here we go. Alright guys, so I got one side completely tore down to the ball joints right there. I need to get a ball joint tool, but before I do that I want to tear down the other side so I can do them both at one time. One thing I wanted to talk about is a lot of people, when they're working on stuff like this and when they're taking the struts, because your strut sits right in here and comes down to a knuckle, they go get spring compressors or whatever. What I found is the easiest thing to do with these Mustangs is loosen everything, don't take any bolts out or anything, put a jack underneath it like I got here, and just put a little bit of tension on the A-arm. And then what I do is I pop the nut that goes right here, take it off, and then what I do is I slowly let down my jack until all that spring tension is off. Granted, I've already taken my strut and stuff out of here, but I mean, you get the basic idea. And sometimes you'll get to a point where like your strut will be stuck up in that hole and you won't be able to get all the spring pressure off. So what I do is I put a little bit of tension back on the A-arm, get your strut into like a free position so that it'll float down, because sometimes it'll hang up in there. Get it back into a free position where it'll continue to fall, and then continue to let your jack down. But I always stand to the side, because you never know, like your A-arm might get hung up on something or whatever, and you know, like bolt might break or whatever, and then it'll just flop down and out. But that's how I release these springs. That's how I've done it for years and years, and it's always worked out for me. But I'll get the other side torn down here probably Thursday or Friday, and then probably get those ball joints out this weekend and new ones put back in. Alright guys, so I am here removing my ball joints on the 93 hatch. I got this press tool that I just rented from the parts store. The only thing that I already did the other side just to kind of like test it out, but the troubles that I had is the distance between here and here. By the time you put these guys and everything and get your stack up right, the ball joint was too tall. And I noticed whenever I took the old one out and compared it to the new one that this bottom side is thicker than the new one. The older one is thicker than the new one. I'll show you that whenever I get this one out. But when I did the other side, I just found it easier just freaking cut these threads off. I battled with it and battled with it and battled with it, and like, I'm not gonna need these, so I just took my grinder, cut them off. Then it came right out. I'm gonna get this stack up here and get it started, and then I'll show you guys what that looks like. Because basically what you got to do is you got to put this cup. I started with this cup, but it's thicker, so I went down to this smaller cup, and it fits the outside diameter of this ball joint really well on the bottom side. So then what you have to do is you take that cup with this, and it goes in the bottom side of this clamp, and then you take this and your like screw or press, whatever, right here fits in here, goes there, and then you put this down on top of here, and you press it out. I was trying to not use this because, like I said, the others, or like these older ones, are thicker, and then you couldn't fit it in this space though. I even tried like taking this deal out and running it down, everything. I tried everything, so I just, man, took like a minute to cut that off both sides, and much easier. So yeah, I'll get it stacked up and I'll show you that. Alright, so here I have my tool all set up. Like I said, I have that smaller cup on the bottom with that flat piece, and then the smaller flat piece on top, and then I just have this all thread run down through there so everything's nice and snug. And then I got my breakover bar to start running it down. I tried using my electric impact, but it's just not enough. So now I just start wrenching on it slowly until it comes out. Alright guys, so I got the old ball joint out, and this is the new ball joint, and this is what I was trying to tell you about, is right here. See that versus that? That's the difference. That right there is like just enough to not let you get that seat clamp on there. So yeah, that's why I went ahead and just chopped off the threads. I already put the other side in. I didn't have any troubles with those threads going back up, but I think that's mostly because whenever you stack up on this side, you have to put this cup on this side with this guy, so it has a hole for your threads to run up through. And you just take that castle nut off, and so that goes on that side, and then this will set on the bottom of this ball joint, something like this, and then you'll essentially just stack it up backwards. Oh, and then you have to put this cup on the back side of this ball joint. It's slightly bigger, but not enough that it'll push down around those edges. So, and then slide that under. You take this dust cap off, slide that under, take that castle nut off, run it up through the center of that, put your seat clamp back on. And then what I did is I just took my jack here, jacked it all the way up so it wasn't, every time I was pulling on my breakover bar to push that up, I was just pushing that arm, that A-arm up. So I just jacked my jack all the way up to where that A-arm wouldn't go up any further, and then just ran it in that way. So I'll get this slid in there, I'll show you my stack up, and then I will get this one pressed in. Alright guys, so here I got my stack up. I told you guys wrong. I told you that you're gonna have to put this small cup on the bottom down here, but that made absolutely no sense. What I did is I just got this flat piece. There's a hole in the bottom of it so that it won't damage your grease zerk, and that's what I really like about these newer ball joints, is they are serviceable, so they won't run out of grease, or they shouldn't, as long as you're taking care of them. And then this part of the all thread here centers up in this piece. Your ball joint sits down in here with your grease zerk down in the center of it, and then got your control arm. Well, this is the ball joint here, and then you got your control arm, the cup, another flat piece which centers itself in the bottom side of the C clamp. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to wrench on this until this gap goes away, and then you'll know it's properly seated. Like I said, I tried using my cordless impact. I think it's got like 200 foot-pounds of torque, and it's just not enough. So what I do is I just use my big Craftsman, I don't know how long this thing is, breakover bar, 1/2 inch breakover bar, with a 22 millimeter impact socket. And I know some people are like, oh yeah, it's easy. One, it shouldn't be easy if your arm is you know, the OD of it is, you know, or ID of the arm, OD of the ball joint is tight. It should fit really snug, but man, it takes me a while. Quarter turn at a time, you know, I'll wrench on it, move my socket, wrench on it again. So it just takes a few moments though, but it is, you know, kind of hard. The other thing I recommend is if you're doing this and if you're using one of these tools especially, man, I really recommend like have another hand around, because it can be a pain to like hold this and the ball joint, balance it in the bottom of here and hold it up in there while you're trying to get, you know, all this stuff stacked on top and then try to get this thing centered. It's just easier if you had another hand. So anyways, that's that. I'm gonna get it pushed in and then I'll show you. All right, so there it is. New ball joint is put in. You can see that it is sat really well up in there, nice and tight. Push through. The only thing you gotta do before you start reassembling everything is push your dust cap back on top. It's really easy. Just sets down on there. And then I just took, wherever it is, had another one of these little cups and I just kind of walked it down on there, like so. You don't have to do that. You can also just use a little flat blade screwdriver and just kind of tap. Don't push real hard, you don't want to rip the boot. But yep, that's that. So now I'll finish reassembling this front end. Alright, so now I got my ball joint in, I'm gonna start just with reassembly. Honestly, with stuff like this, there's tons of videos already out there for it, but honestly a lot of it's just like putting together a puzzle. First I'll put in my spring. Well, actually, first thing I'm gonna do is put on my tie rod ends, put in my spring, jack underneath the A-arm up, so it's kind of secure. Slide my knuckle on, run it down, push it back, put the strut on loosely, run it up in top of there, run the bolt down on top of it, and it just like piece by piece just start running together. So I'll show you as I go. One thing I wanted to tell you guys real quick before I go and put my tie rod back on, it's real simple. They didn't include my Zerk in the bottom, so you have to screw that back in. But anyways, what I was going to talk about is this nut. They send you with a replacement. I'm not going to replace mine simply just because of the fact that whenever I took the old one off, I just backed this off half a turn so that I know roughly where it should be whenever the new one goes back on, because otherwise you can, like, I don't know if it helps with the alignment, the steering, whatever, but I just wanted to go back where the old one was, so I know that I will run this back on and get it just about to that nut, and then I should be able to snug that nut down half a turn and call it good. Well, guys, this is how far I am right now. I've already got the other side to this point, but you know, just jacked up the A-arm, got the spring put back where it needs to belong, or where it belongs. I've got my tie rod ends hooked up, this tightened down. This is there except for the bottom bushing, washer and nut, because it's like half an inch shorter than the like stock ones. So I think I'm just gonna have to jack up this A-arm as much as I can or something and try to get enough space underneath to run that down. And then one other thing I wanted to mention is these struts, for whatever reason, Monroe I think is what they are, they thought it was a good idea to paint these threads, and that turned out to be a nightmare. I recommend if you're going to use these struts or any strut that they have painted the threads, either use a tap and die set and run it down on there and clean those threads off. My tap and die set didn't go that big, so what I did is I just used a wire brush, and then I also used a wire wheel on a 90-degree Dotco or grinder, whatever, I don't know what you call them. So I cleaned those off and was able to get it run down. These are a pain. I don't know why they're designed like this, but you have to hold a flat blade in here and then run this down just with a wrench. Luckily you don't have real far to go. But anyways, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna pack some bearings. for my rotors before I put them back on, and then finish this thing up. All right, so here we go. I got the car finished up actually last night. You can see that front tire, or that front end, actually sits a lot further off of that tire now. Car rides a lot better than it did. I'm pretty sure before the only suspension I really had was just the rubber from the tire. Yep, it's done. It drives good. Hopefully I'll get this car back on the road here shortly. I mean, it's roadworthy, just waiting on a few things to clear up. I still got the rear shocks to do. Hopefully be doing that maybe even by the end of the weekend. I don't know, it just kind of depends on what kind of time I have. But yep, it's all done, ready to go, drives well, and it doesn't beat you around like an old pickup. So anyways, if you guys like these videos, like and subscribe. If you guys want to see maybe more detailed videos or something, let me know. Right now I'm kind of on like time restraints, so usually whenever I do videos like this, I just kind of show what I'm doing and not really the process. But if you'd like me to do more of the process, let me know. Thanks, guys.